Today I'm very happy to be test driving the 130-inch wheelbase Ford Transit cargo van pulled up alongside the 148 wheelbase Ford Transit. This is owned by the Aaron's furniture store back there. Yesterday the gentleman was kind enough to let me stand inside the 148-inch wheelbase Ford Transit, and honestly it didn't feel much different at all in the cargo area than the 130. Now they are 18 inches different in their cargo lengths. Of course the 148 is 18 inches longer than the 130. I've been told that the 148 drives more like a truck than the 130, which drives more like a car to the 148. Now let's take a look at the wheelbases in real life, what they look like visually compared to one another. So this is the 148 wheelbase Ford Transit, and you can see the overhang here. But what's happened on there is they've extended the length between the axles, between the front wheel and the back wheel by 18 inches. The 130 wheelbase has the 130 inches, and then there's still an overhang. But here you can see right there the difference in the distance between the wheels. Now this does affect the turning radius. It does affect the parking, the angle you want to shoot in, and how much space you want behind you if you're reversing out of a parking space. You can see that the 130 wheelbase Ford Transit and the 148 wheelbase Ford Transit look the same from the front. The one on the right is a low roof. The one on the left is a mid-roof Ford Transit. Obviously, that's an option. The low roof, the 130 wheelbase does have the option of being low or medium, but not high. And the 148 Ford Transit has the option of being all three, low, medium, or high, which is great. If you're looking to install a pop-top roof on your Ford Transit, the company that you go with, depending on the company and the style of pop-top roof, you will need to have the right wheelbase. So some companies will not install a pop-top on a 130. Let's go. Let's see how this baby rides. Nimbleness is becoming an important consideration for me. How much of a priority is it for you? Some things to consider. All right, making a wrong turn and needing to back out. Going into what looked like a fine parking lot, but it's a little tighter than you thought. Are you an explorer? Do you like to take little turns here and there that were unplanned? You know, these windshields are wonderful. If we're going to go across the country or go anywhere beautiful at all, we want a windshield we can really see America through. The Ford Transits are my favorite windshields. All right, let's talk about this sound system. Up to speed, 65 miles an hour on the highway, and the radio is having a hard time competing with the road noise. This is just the base sound system in this Ford Transit. So I would say that if sound from your music is really important to you when driving, then you might want to consider more speakers. And of course also you'd be muffling the sound because you have all of your stuff in the back, and that would help. But I think I might consider, if I were getting this, a different sound system. It's time for Union Hill. This is the descent that you will see in all the test drive videos I do, where Union Hill is an option, to test engine braking. Let's see how well this Ford Transit holds the road and keeps the RPM down so that I can go down Union Hill. This is how you save your brakes. You know, on those mountain roads all through the West and well, in other places too, we can really burn up our brakes and they can get overheated. they could get worn out if we use our brakes when going downhill. So it's great to just engine brake. And what you do is you downshift. I am going down to first gear and going down this hill that for 23 years has plagued me in Brattleboro, Vermont. And I'm not going to use the brakes now, just in first gear. And we are crawling down the hill just using the low RPM of the wheels, which first gear is forcing. And it is holding. It's not speeding up. It's going down at a very good, what is this, 12 miles an hour. It's holding. Okay, this is where it's getting the steepest. This is where I get freaked out. And it's holding very nicely. It's speeding up a bit. Speeding up. It's going up to 14. We're getting down to the stop sign. And, okay, I'm putting on the brakes at the bottom. Okay, so that did really well. That's a good low-geared first gear. I liked it. So, okay, so now we're in regular gear, I think. What am I in? I'm sorry, I'm not used to this. And we're just going to go up a normal road now. This Ford Transit is driving a bit stiffer and bumpier than the Ford Transits I have test driven in the past, the 148s. Now that could be a function of the shorter wheelbase. It could also be that the moving company put tighter struts on and maybe possibly inflated their tires to the maximum pressure. All of those can make the difference. There is hope when a test-driven vehicle from a moving company is a bit bumpy or stiff. Those are all things that can be modified. Backing into a space now because just spotted a Sprinter. It is time to look at these babies side by side. Backing up, just using the bottom part of the side view mirror and the backup camera. Was a little nervous, of course, especially next to a Sprinter. Definitely don't want to ding a Sprinter. And it's going okay. It's going okay. This 130 wheelbase is pretty nimble. Okay, just sliding back in. And I only had to make one adjustment to my direction. Pretty good. That's encouraging. All right, here we are. Let's take a look at them side by side. All right. Oh, just a little side note here. Opening the door causes this really kind of nice little sound saying that your door is open. But I would find this pretty annoying on a daily basis. The key is in the ignition, so it's telling me about that. I take the ignition out, the key out, and here it is, and it stops. It's helpful, but I would rather have the feature where it prevents you from locking your keys in the car. It just won't lock with your keys in the car. That would be much preferred to that annoying sound. To me, it's annoying. Right, here they are, the Sprinter and Ford right there, side by side. Look at that. Pretty cool. Okay, so this is the Sprinter by Freightliner. The Dodge isn't made anymore. Look at that, side by side. Look how much taller the Sprinter is. And that looks like the regular height Sprinter, too. Looks like they have not added any roof height there. Fascinating. And then this is the low roof 130 wheelbase Ford Transit. This is a longer wheelbase Sprinter. You can see that the wheels, on the Sprinter, the first wheel comes out further like that. Yeah, well, it is a lot bigger. Huh. All right, there they are from behind. The comfort it's really nice. There is a side. This is the seat choice that comes with a armrest. The wheel is adjustable for telescopes and tilts, which is, love that. The windshield, plenty of view of the sky and the road. And the seat, now I am 5'6", and there's plenty of footwell room. These are the cloth seats, but there is lumbar support, and they're comfortable. I find them very comfortable. They're absorbing the shocks really well. And yeah, the ergonomics are good. I could definitely reach the volume control. I know that we're supposed to use the steering wheel controls or get used to that for safety. It takes your eyes off the road less. But I don't know. Maybe it's because so many decades spent in the other kind of vehicle. I really like just reaching across and using. So that reach is important to me. It is a small little screen. Not quite sure how why it has to be so small, but you know, there's some good contrast on there, some vivid contrast, so that's good. So that is very comfortable. Can rest your wrist right here on the gear shift and actually turn the controls. It's a really nice placement of the gear shift. I like that. Just rest your hand right here. Nice. Then there are more control buttons here. Looks like there's a mode button and maybe a traction control button here. On the all-wheel drive, there is the ability to change modes. There are 5 different modes, and you can change depending on your road conditions. And this is not an all-wheel drive Transit. So the modes that are available are normal, eco, slippery, and tow or haul. You can select those really easily here just by pressing the mode button, and it just alternates through the different settings. There's also the ability to turn on and off the traction control right there. Traction control, you can see the little yellow going on and off. And you know, that's really handy to turn off if you're starting from the stopped position in mud or sand or snow. So that's good to be able to turn that on and off. Very easy to get to too as the driver. I like that. Yeah, that's nice. And then the gear shift has the selectable gears right here, the up and down. So you go into manual mode and then you can select your own gears. That is great for engine braking. And then on the left are the lights and the controllable side view mirrors. Here, there's a parking brake that you pull right here. And yeah, I don't see that's interesting. I just don't notice that there is a parking brake lever here. Instead of a parking brake. Yeah, there's no parking brake. I don't see a parking brake. Well, isn't that interesting? I wonder if that's standard or a feature. There is one glove box right here. It does lock. This is airbag up here. The footwell area for my size and shape is plenty of comfort there. I can extend my legs and change the position of my feet while I'm driving, so that's really good. You can also put your foot on the left here a little bit, raise it up just a little bit, but it's not too much of a height difference. If you may recall in the video test drive of the Savana, that was just too high and the foot was like all the way up here. So that's a nice feature. There's also this grab bar, so getting in and out is made easier. It's a really good cockpit. Just finished the squat test. Yes, I did. Made a pit stop back here in the cargo area, even in the low roof. I mean, my goodness, the low roof. Take a look at this. So I do have to squat over a little bit, definitely not standing up in it, but for the purposes of getting dressed and doing the squat for various purposes, as we all know in van life, it was just fine. I'm 5'6", so that's something to think about as well. This particular Ford Transit is the base model, and it has not been modified in any way. So it hasn't been made higher, it lifted, the wheels are 16 inches. So you can see that compared to the 136 Promaster test drive that we did, it's lower to the ground, it's easier to get into. If you noticed, I didn't even have to use the grab bar, but you could, it's here. And I just used the steering wheel to get in. So a very easy approach. Well, I am enjoying this ride as the passenger. It's absorbing, this is the 250, and it's absorbing the bumps really nicely. And you'll find that the footwell area is plenty spacious. It's not like the Savana. And the armrest here is pretty wide. It's like this on the driver area as well, so you can really just settle into it. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm riding as a passenger, I like to bring my right knee up like this and lean it against the door, and the placement of this armrest is perfect for that on the door. The cup holder on the right here of the passenger side is bigger than on the driver's side. The big Nalgene bottle here fits perfectly here like a glove, but not so on the driver's side. There are also the two cup holders here, and everything's just in really easy arm's reach. Yeah, being a passenger, and this is just fine. Right now I have the fuel economy as what is showing in the screen right here. And you can see right now it's getting about 18.5 miles a gallon, which is the same as the Toyota Sienna. This cargo van, though, has nothing in it at all. It is completely empty. And I've only been going on flat in-town roads, not highway and not up or down hills. Let's take a look in the cargo area. We are all precious cargo. These doors will open this way, which of course, gives us extra square footage, which is great because you can just cover the top and this area here, sneak in here and take your shower or do whatever it is you want to do back here. So you can consider this some extra square footage. These doors will open a little bit further as well. There's a car there, so I'm not going to open it all the way. Let's see. Oops. Okay, maybe not. Oh, I see. By just flipping a little switch here, going around. Oh, it's not going to work because of the tree. I have to pull out to do that. Okay, here. I know what I'll do. Okay, so this is great. This gives you some added square footage. If these doors are at all in your way, they will go back a bit, but they won't go all the way flush with the side of the van because it's a sliding door, and the sliding door extends toward the rear. So this would hit it if it went all the way to the side. So let's go inside. All right, well, that was easy to get in. This is the low roof. If you go with a low roof model, I'm 5'6", so I'm bending down a little bit, and it's still pretty good though. I mean, you could easily get dressed. You could do your squat for, if you needed to use the restroom in here. And some folks do opt to sit on the floor to cook, right? So you could certainly do that. Having a stand-up van, it is great. However, there's a lot that we can do with a low roof van. We can do all the same things that we can do with a stand-up van. The width, now this is a surprise. A lot of the advertisements for the ProMasters for van life say, oh, it's the only van that you can sleep sideways in. Well, first of all, that depends on how tall you are. Someone who's 6 foot could fit in the Ford Transit because when we measure from the part up here that goes furthest out on the wall rather than from down here or from here, then you have almost 6.5 feet. So if the wall is not insulated, there is 6.5 feet to spread across. Something to keep in mind. All right, the length on this 130 wheelbase is 10 feet, measured from the part of the cargo that meets the door to the touching the seat, right at about belt height. It's about 10 feet, which is fantastic. Now, something to keep in mind is those seats are going to take up some space when they're rolled back and if they're tilting back. So your build may not be flush against them. That gives a ton of space. A queen bed is 60 by 80. So that is going to give you half of the van for your bed. If it's foam, you can shave it off. Even if it's coil, you can clip it. So you can actually put a queen bed in here and then have the rest. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that the door is a sliding door. The barn door style 60-40 split is an option, not on the medium roof. So that's something to keep in mind, or the high roof, only on the low roof. This door slides just like that. Personally, I'm not a fan of a sliding door. I think it's loud, so if camping around other people or having somebody else in the van with you who you don't want to wake up in the morning, or if they're just trying to focus and sleep, going in and out of this, it's a bit loud and it keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps going until it stops. The other is, I have heard, and you can check it out on the forums, that there are some issues with these doors, sticking, freezing up, something to keep in mind, or just keep in your budget as a possible repair. Other than that, there's not much else to say. It's a standard cargo van back, but just to keep in mind that you do actually have more width than you might think. So I think there are a lot of possibilities, even in the low roof Ford Transit 130 wheelbase. Well, there it is. Now you have seen the Ford Transit 130 wheelbase, the cockpit area, the cargo area, and explored some of the drivability as well. From my perspective, now I always recommend that everybody do their own test drives, but you know my body type, and if you have a very different body type, I would definitely recommend doing a test drive. Otherwise, I know a lot of cars are bought online now, sight unseen, untested, and so I hope that this has been helpful to you. Let's do a review. What have been some of your favorite features of this Ford Transit? I'd love to hear them. Put them in the comments below. Some of mine are, well, let's see. For the drivability, it would definitely be the pickup. It has such great pickup, as you saw in the highway. I really like that. Even with a payload, I could feel that there was going to be plenty of power. Now, as far as the cockpit goes, very comfortable. That's a definite pro. The reachability of everything, just right in reach. Plenty of cup holders. Also, another pro would be the footwell. That is a game changer because you can stretch out your legs, and not all vehicles have that generous footwell. So that's a real pro as well. A con in the cockpit would definitely be the sound system. Going at only 65 miles an hour, it was hard to discern the voices. So I would suggest exploring upping the sound system in this Ford Transit, going up a notch. Now, the cargo area is plenty long for a 130 wheelbase, and it's plenty wide. That sweet spot right above the wheels is fine for many body types. So that is a real plus. Now, as far as the door on the side, okay, it gets mixed reviews on the forums, the sliding door, and there's not a barn door option, a 60-40 split, if you're going with a medium or high roof on the 130 wheelbase. So something to keep in mind. Nimbleness is very important for those of us who aren't comfortable getting out of tight spaces in parking lots, or might find ourselves exploring and in an unexpected tight space. So for me, it's really coming down to nimbleness. rather than length. Now, it's only a $1,500 difference, which is kind of phenomenal for a 148 wheelbase with that extra 18 inches, which, you know, when you measure up and across and the width, that's actually a lot of cubic feet. However, it's a trade-off for nimbleness versus cubic feet. What's most important to you? With Ingenuity, we can put a lot of functionality into 18 inches less if we need to. So something to keep in mind. Now, what is most important to you? Is it safety, convenience, joy? Is it all three? Well, I believe that this Ford Transit is a real contender for all three. Now, we are all precious cargo, right? I know you are. I know I am. And I believe we can find the right mix. That's what I'm wishing for you, is ease of mind, ease of body, ease of wallet, on the road, full of possibilities. And this might be the vehicle for you, used or new. So with enough research, hey, check out my test drives, check out other test drives of lots of vehicles to see what's right for you. And remember, you can do it. Enjoy your journey.